Why so serious?
So this weekend we both watched everyone's new favourite film ever, because everyone's clearly loving this film all over the internet. We watched Joker 2, Folie, Deux. We watched it, and let's jump into just general thoughts, kind of how we felt about it, positive and negatives, and then we'll jump into a bit more spoilery stuff, because the ending needs to be discussed. So,
Okay.
give me what you thought. What did you think coming out of this?
I would like, because I know whatever I say, you're going to say, I knew it. So I'm going to wait. I want you to tell me now. Don't sit on the fence about it. You go, I think you either love or hate it. Because everyone thinks that.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think my honest opinion is?
Your opinion?
Yeah, my honest opinion is.
I think you enjoyed it more than you thought, but it's not great.
Okay. You're wrong.
Oh, okay.
I fucking loved it.
Oh my god, no way.
Yeah, no, I did. I don't know what it was. Well,
Wow.
did I love it? Possibly. I found myself, like, I just couldn't look away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was one of those films where I could feel the hatred in the room.
Yeah.
I could feel it. And I think that's almost something that made me enjoy it more,
Yeah.
weirdly. It was an odd cinema experience. Because I said, like, I think I went with my mothers and I could feel instantly, within the first like half hour, they were like, this is not for me. So I was like, right, that's fair. And then you can kind of hear in, like, as the next song comes on, a lot of the amount of huffs I heard and, like, just unrest. Like, I could just feel the frustration of people in the room, which I don't know whether it made me enjoy it more in a way, because I was almost like, I kind of got it. And it's look, this is a wanky film. It is a real wanky, arty film, which is something that I generally do not care for.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I just got it. I just, like, as soon as it started, as soon as we sort of get into it and all, like, the songs for the different things that are going on, it just made sense to me. Like, I just understood what was going on.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I think it's kind of one of those where if you get it, then you can get on board with it.
Yeah.
But I can completely understand that a lot of people just go, this is shit.
Yes.
Because it kind of is shit, but it's great at the same time. So, yeah, I think I might love it. But also, I don't know if I ever want to watch it again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I completely understand where you're coming from, yeah, 100%.
What about you?
Cool. Do you know what, right? I still haven't made up my definitive mind on it. So, I watched it. It started, and I really loved the beginning. Like, the first thing you see, so good. I loved it, right?
Cool.
So I was locked in from there. I was like, okay, cool. I know kind of what to expect here. I'm gonna get into it. Now, obviously, I'm not the biggest fan of the first one. I think it's a good film, but I don't think it's the best film ever that people seem to think it is. So I was sitting there, and it just kind of started. You get the intro bit. It keeps going on a bit. You get into the songs, and I was just sat there like, this isn't bad. This is not a bad film. This is definitely not a bad film. Like, to begin with, it's a stunning film. This is a beautiful film. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
But I just, by the end of it, the credits were rolling, and I was sat there just like, did I enjoy it or did I dislike it? And I'm just really, I can't figure out which side I land on, which is why I wanted to see it a second time, which never happened, but that's fine. But there was something, as you said, I couldn't look away. I couldn't stop watching it. And I think that's a testament to the performances and to the visual beauty of the film, because it's a stunning film.
Yeah.
But I just don't know if it's a good film and if I'd watch it again, like, by choice, or not. I actually can't. I don't know. I really don't know. It's one of those.
Yeah.
This is one of the, like, most torn feelings I've had on a film in a long, long time. And, like, I know at the minute it's universally panned. People are hating this, but I think that's just a bandwagon thing. I think people are going, oh, it's a musical, it's shit, I don't want to see it. And I think that's a kind of a big problem with it. But I don't think that's a testament to the film itself. I think that's just people going, oh, it's Joker singing, that's weird. It's not that weird. It's really not that weird.
Nah, it's weird, isn't it? Because this is going to sound like the wankiest thing I've said on you, and it probably be the wankiest thing I do say on you. But it's almost like, the whole sort of thing is, if you get why Joker, like, if you can get almost into Joker's world, like, into his head, the whole thing that's going on, because this is basically what it is, isn't it? This whole film is just basically a representation of Joker's world, like his brain.
Yeah.
This whole film is just his brain, isn't it? Like, what's going on in his brain?
Yeah.
All the stuff that happens in real life turn into these, like, musical acts in his brain.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where it goes. And I think if you can get into that, you'll enjoy it. But I think for everyone that's disliking it, it's almost like if you can't understand that, the same as how in the film, pretty much everybody's looking at him going, "You're a fucking idiot." Like, the amount of people look at him going, "You're really stupid. This is so silly." Like, it's even brought up so many times that people are like, "This is just silly.
Yeah.
Like, you're just an act. Like, it doesn't make any sense. It's stupid and it's silly." And I think that's kind of where you go, basically. Like, if you can understand what Joker's thinking and the reason why, if you can get into his head and understand what's going on and the sort of, like, it's not intelligence of the film, but I guess that's the best way to describe it, is intelligence of the film, then you'll enjoy it. But I think if you don't, if you immediately go in and go, "This is fucking stupid, it makes no sense," then it is stupid and it's going to make no sense. And I think, it's just kind of, that's where you've got to end up, basically. But I completely agree, though. As much as I said I love it, I don't know if I want to watch it again.
No.
And it's a weird one, isn't it?
I think with this film, I think it had a lot going for it. I think, but also, it almost feels like it's purposely trying to alienate its audience from the first film. And we'll get into all that when we start kind of touching into the spoilery stuff. There's a point in this film where it stopped working for me. And then for the rest of the film, I wasn't on board. But for that first, I don't know, I want to say 45, 50 minutes, I was on board.
Wow.
Yeah, I really liked it. I was on board. It's quite slow. It's a slow-moving film. There's no action in this film. It's not like an action film, is it? Let's be honest. It's a slow-moving drama. It's part character piece, part courtroom drama, right? And I expected that, and I was looking forward to that. But there's a point in the plot, and we'll get into it in a minute, that it made no sense to me, and then as it carried on, I just didn't understand where we were going with it. And then I think the ending really cemented that kind of, it was just made to be a sequel. Like, this was just written in like a few days just because the first one made $1 billion. And I'm not hating it as much as everyone else. That's not me. I don't hate this film because, as I said, I walked out going, I think I enjoyed majority of it. But there's just a plot point that I didn't maybe you can explain it better, maybe I just didn't understand it, but I just didn't get where they were going, and then I just didn't I wasn't massive on the last act then in itself.
Yeah, I can see that. I think the last act is interesting. Like, it's going one way, you completely flip it on another way, then it goes back another way, and then it ends on a different way again. So it does almost kind of like flip-flop a lot. Like, it sort of builds to a point, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And then that last, probably even just quarter, even that last, like, maybe 15, 20 minutes, it just kind of goes one way, back the other way, back another way, and then ends. And you're like, oh, interested. Yeah, I wasn't, like, huge on the ending.
Yeah.
But I think in hindsight, when I look back and go, I think it's kind of, I think I kind of like it as well.
Fair, very fair.
Yeah.
I think my main like takeaways from it, before we kind of jump into the plot points and the spoilery stuff, I think positive wise, it's a very good looking film. The cast really bring it. I think, and I'm not really a Joaquin Phoenix fan, but I almost think he was better in this one. I'll be honest, I think his performance was fucking fantastic. The musical scenes themselves, I thought were really good. I don't think they were amazing, but I thought they were really good. But I can't tell if that's maybe because I really like musical films in general, or if they were actually good. There's like one or two standout ones that I thought were fantastic, but I don't think they quite reached the potential of musical numbers. I think they could have done a lot better. I think Lady Gaga's good in it, but it almost feels like she's there to be the singer and to be that kind of part. I think she's great. I really like her as an actress, but I don't know. It kind of felt underutilized. And again, it's an interesting take on whatever they were trying to do here compared to the first one. It's interesting. So yeah, that's kind of my takeaways from the film. I don't dislike it, but I don't know if I like it either. So that's kind of my verdict on it.
I completely disagree on Lady Gaga.
Okay.
Completely disagree on Lady Gaga. I think this is Lady Gaga's film. I think this is almost Harley Quinn featuring the Joker. I understand the musical bits. It's one of those where they're not good, but it almost feels like they're not intended to be good. Because you can definitely tell Lady Gaga's holding back. Like,
Oh,
she is
yeah.
not singing, is she?
No.
Like, there's maybe, like, genuinely, there's probably like a note or three
Yeah.
in this like film where she sings, and you go,
You get that-
oh yeah, you can sing.
You get that one musical number, don't you, where she's on the piano and he's like tap
Yeah,
dancing.
where she goes.
That's
Yeah.
so
Like,
good.
you got one musical number where she goes, but like throughout the film, there's, as I said, there's like a few notes. It's not like songs.
Yeah.
She hits a few notes. Like, I think it's intentionally bad singing in a way, because he can't really sing. He can hold a note. He can't really sing, can he?
Oh, I was quite surprised with him, if I'm honest. Especially when when he goes for like the one or two songs he does, I was quite surprised. But yeah,
he can hold a tune.
Yeah.
But he can't sing, can he? It's not something where I go, oh my god, I can't wait to listen to the new Wacky Malden. Like, do you know what I mean? It's not like he can't really sing. But yeah, I think for people going in though, I think you probably need to see what it's about before going in. I think to go into this blind is where people are going, I hate this.
Yeah.
I think you need to firstly be very much aware that it's a musical.
Yeah.
And yeah, that it's nothing like the first one. I think if you know those going in, it'll at least make it more, you can at least like look at it as what it is, rather than going, this is a musical, it's not like the first one, I hate it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think everything else, yeah. I'm on the opposite end, but with the same, I agree as well. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, was you like, I'm not really sure if I like it, but I don't really know. I'm like, I think I like it, but I don't really know.
Yes.
So it's like, we're still there, but yeah, we're just on opposite ends.
Well, yeah, it looks like we've kind of both taken this a very different way, and I'm kind of glad because it gives us a lot of stuff to talk about. So let's just jump into some spoilery stuff, because this is a weirdly packed film that not much happens in. It's one of those, right? So obviously you get that opening cartoon, which is very much a reference to Looney Tunes. It's so good.
Yeah.
I loved it. So when I saw that, I was like, this is
really cool.
awesome. Then we go into Arkham and we see Arthur Fleck kind of in his cell, don't we? That's the first 45 minutes of this film, realistically, is him in Arkham with the guards. That's like the first part of the film. And I was locked in here. I thought the performances by the guards, specifically Brendan Gleeson, was really, really good. I kind of like that they still treat him like a person. They kind of still respect the Jokerism of him, while also really, really being horrible to him. I thought that was a really good dynamic. So for the first 40 minutes of this film, I was happy. It was slightly boring, I'll be honest, but I was intrigued. I was looking forward to the court case. Obviously, you get the odd musical number sprinkled in here, and this is where, as you mentioned, no one seems to fully go for it in this film, musical-wise. Yeah. And that's what let me down. That was what let me down, because it seems like when you went full fantasy mode into his head and we got the big musical numbers, that's where it really shined, right? I loved them. But you get those odd numbers where he just starts like mumbling, singing, and I was like, what is this? I'd rather him just fully pelt it out and get full-on jazz hands. I'd rather that. But it just kept happening. He kept mumbling, singing along, and I was like, either go for it or don't mark it as a musical. You know, I was kind of a bit torn there. Okay. We get into the court case, and this was where my issues started to really ramp up, right? So he's got a lawyer, and she's obviously representing him, and she's really trying to kind of say that he is two personalities. This is two different people. You've got Joker on one hand, and you've got Arthur Fleck on one hand. Am I correct in saying that is the trial?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's what they're trying to say. They're not. They're not denying he did it. They're just saying that it wasn't Arthur Fleck. It was the Joker.
Right. Now this was where my biggest problem arises. Right. He fires her and goes, "I'm going to represent myself as the Joker." Surely, in that moment, the trial is out because he's gone, "I am the Joker."
Well, yeah, okay.
This was where I completely just went, hang on, we've just lost the whole plot because he's admitted he's just this character now. And I was like...
From what they were trying to do with it is, so basically they're trying to convince him that the Joker was the guy who was doing the murders.
Yeah, who killed and shot people.
Yeah. Everyone is there for the Joker. That's the whole point of this film, is that Arthur Fleck is a nobody. The Joker is the biggest guy in Gotham. Yeah. So basically, for him to then go, "I'm firing you, and I am now the Joker." It's all, as much as it's a way for him to get support because because he becomes more and more aware. Like Harley basically convinced him, or Lee, as
Yes.
she's called throughout the film, convinces him that like Joker is what people want to see.
Yeah.
But then when he goes back into the trial, him being the Joker and being this almost complete different personality is, as much as he's not proven that he's intelligent, is really smart because it's his way of basically being like, this is the whole trial. I was Arthur Fleck. Now I'm the Joker, and there's a very obvious difference
Mm.
in the characters. So
Yeah.
him coming in as a Joker is almost him being like, look, I'm gonna run this myself. I'm gonna be the Joker, and I'm gonna show you that the Joker is a complete different person to Arthur Fleck,
Yeah.
which obviously kind of eventually ends up fucking up at the end. But
Yes.
I think until that point, he was getting away with it because it was so blatantly obvious that Joker and Arthur Fleck are two complete different people.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I kind of stopped, and I was like, but if you're trying to prove that you're two different people, to then admit that you are just going to continue the trial as Joker,
Yeah.
I understand the
Yeah.
whole point, and like it was Lee trying to manipulate him and be like, this is who you
Mm.
are. I like that, but when he just turned around and went, I'm going to represent myself because I'm the Joker, I was like, surely then the jury's just going to go, yeah, you're guilty. It kind of just collapsed in on itself.
Well, no, because there's not. He is. That's what I'm saying though. Is this not? They've never denied that Arthur Fleck and the Joker kill people. That was
Mm,
never. They
yeah,
never said that he didn't.
yeah.
It was always saying they are the same people, the same human being, the
Mm,
same like vessel of a
yeah,
person
yeah,
is both people, but there's this complete split personality.
yeah,
So him going, yes, I am the Joker, is as much as it's a way of them going, well, obviously you did it. Then
mm,
it's it's also the argument of this entire case is that they are different in his
yeah,
brain.
of
So it's like a
course.
bipolar thing, isn't it?
Yes.
So mentally when he's the Joker, but mentally when he's Arthur Fleck are two complete different
Yeah,
things.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that's kind of what he did by him going, I'm Joker,
Mm,
by the jury then seeing him and him being able to run it as the Joker. Obviously it'd never happen in a
mm,
court case if someone went, I'm gonna be the Joker, representative, they'd be going, shut up, you fucking dick,
yeah.
get out. But like you'd for him to the way they're portraying it is for him then to represent himself and be like, look, I am now showing you who the Joker is.
Yeah.
As much as they can go, yeah, okay, we know it's you, you did it. He's saying he's done it,
Yeah.
but he's saying, you know what I mean? But he's
Yeah.
saying like me and Arthur are
Yeah.
completely different. But as I said, like come towards the end and when he backtracks is when I was a bit like, ooh, not sure about
Yes.
that.
Yeah, and that was yeah, and that kind of fed into my issue there because he does backtrack really heavily.
Yeah,
I just want to touch on a scene
yeah,
before we even get to the court case as well. He has
yeah,
another interview on TV, kind of reminiscent of the first one, which ended so horrifically,
yeah,
obviously.
yeah.
That bit to me felt really undercooked as well. I feel like that should have been a really standout scene in this film. His first interview back after what had happened, I was expecting a bit more of a kind of grand feeling, but it kind of just went on and then finished. You know what I mean? I was a little bit like, I kind of wish they did more, and I think that's kind of where my biggest issue kind of comes with the film is he's not really the Joker in this film, is he? Let's be honest.
No,
And
no, it's yeah, it is. It's weird, isn't it? Because I think, as I said, I think this whole film is from the perception of Arthur Fleck. This whole film is just him in his own brain, and it's like that thing of you're never really sure what's real and what's not.
yeah,
As in, all with all the musical numbers, the amount of times where he's singing, and you're thinking, oh, is this? Are you actually singing or performing? So obviously, I think one of the first songs when he's performing in front of the inmates, and you're thinking, oh my god, this is weird, like a full performance.
yeah,
Turns out he wasn't,
no,
and he just stood there.
yeah,
And there's quite a lot of that throughout where you're really unsure of. It's basically a descent into madness, isn't it?
yeah,
Really, that's
yeah.
what this film is, and it's. I understand that interview bit. It did feel a bit like it just kind of came and
Mm,
went. It felt like a bit of a throwaway scene. I
yeah.
understand that obviously this is more of a big part of the first film, but yeah, I wasn't that offended, but I didn't really think. To be fair, until you mentioned, I kind of forgot it happened.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe it was like an issue, but I wasn't so bothered. Again, I think it was kind of more case of building up hype for this court case, really, wasn't it? I think the court case was almost the interview from the first one.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from, 100%. I think there's just, I don't know how I'm interpreting this film really, and I'm like kind of really stuck between it. Because as I said, I do, deep down, I know I like it, right? I know I do. I do like this film. But it almost feels like, and this could be me just absolutely rambling bollocks now, so just stick with it, right? But it almost feels like the director made that first film, and it made it. That film was massive. Obviously, it made over $1 billion. That was a winning film. He won the Oscar for it and everything. He did not intend to have a sequel. Like, this was never supposed to have a sequel, let's be honest. And it looks like, do you remember when this film came out, there was a lot of talk in America specifically of it being a dangerous film and there was police on standby at cinemas. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Yeah, and this kind of feels like, this almost feels like a response to that, in where if you really like that Joker character, you're kind of an idiot for really, really siding with him, and that's what this felt like.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I completely agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I think people either love or hate it, because it depends on whose side you're on.
Yeah.
If you're not on the side of the Joker, you'll hate this film.
Yeah.
If you are on the side of the Joker, you'll love this film. And I think that's kind of where this film will... It's not going to do the numbers. I think this is going to be something that people see out of curiosity.
I think it's going to
flop,
People
will not like this film. Yeah, it probably is going to bomb because no one's reacted well to this film. But yeah, it might be more of a fuck you film. It could very well be. Like, I wouldn't be surprised
literally
if
what
that's
it feels
what
like.
it is.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if that's what it is, because obviously, as you said previously, with the first film, how people are almost like idolizing this version of the Joker. Like, he is, since Heath Ledger, this is the one, isn't it? And everyone's like, oh my god, like, no, this is the new Joker. So yeah, I guess it is sort of like a fuck you to everyone, being like, look, this is not who you're supposed to love. This guy is actually a mess. And pathetic. And
I think the ratings currently are exactly what they wanted. Personally, 100%. I think they're looking at it and going, yep, we've done our job, and Todd Phillips has now gone, okay, I'm done with DC, I'm out. And I think this was like one of those films he just had to make because the studio were like, here's billions, you're going to fucking make it again. And he was like, I don't want to. And I think that's where the musical aspect comes from. I think he just went, how different can we make it? Chuck in a few songs. And I think it really comes across that way in the film. And that's where my biggest issue came from, where this just feels like a film that got made. But I don't dislike it, which I think is kind of a winning situation, really.
Yeah, I think that's why I kind of love it, and I think this is where I think in a couple of years' time, this is going to end up being a cult classic.
Oh, 100%.
This will 100% be that, where people will go back to this in a few years' time and go, oh, I kind of see now. Obviously, there might be more that comes out of it after, where it ends up that this is a fuck you. This is like him being like, I didn't want to make this film. You should not idolize this man. Like, I'm going to make this as stupid as I possibly can.
Yeah.
And if you don't get it, and if you're not on his side, then you're an idiot for it, sort of thing.
I completely agree.
So yeah, this is going to be a cult classic, and I think, as I said, it was an odd cinema experience, like one of the oddest cinema experiences I've been to, because, as I said, you could feel that anger, you could feel that, like, what the fuck is this? And I think that's where you'll kind of go either way. Like, again, this is kind of like almost a metaphor, whatever it be, for this film, where it is just you've got one side of the entire film that's looking at Joker going, what the fuck is this? A man dressed as a clown. This is fucking stupid. And you've got the other side going, I love this man. This is incredible. And that's the film is a metaphor for what's going on in the world, where you will fall on either side of the category. This is not going to be something that people go, oh yeah, that was right.
I completely agree.
You love it or hate it.
Completely agree. There's a few more scenes I kind of just want to go through just to see how you felt about it. There's one scene towards the middle section which I personally don't understand, but again, I might just not have clicked onto it. So we understand Lee is not a psycho. She is manipulating him. She admitted herself into Arkham, and she can admit herself out because she's normal. And she's come from money. That's her character, right? There's that scene where she is in his cell. What the fuck was that about? So I understand she probably used the
Um,
parents' money to bribe the guards and like, I'm going in there, right? I get that bit. But when you got the guards' personalities, that just didn't work with how the guards were and how they kind of treated people. I just didn't get it.
yeah, no, it was weird, wasn't it? Because from what I can gather from that side compared to the other side, so there was like two
Yeah.
sides of the sort of asylum, wasn't it? There was a side that Lee was on, which is a lot more relaxed. It's a lot more. They're not dangerous people
Yeah.
there generally. So I think it's kind of like you can kind of come and go as you please, rather than on the other side then where it's a lot more like you can't move unless
Yeah.
we tell you can move,
Yeah.
which is where Joker's side or Arthur's side. Yeah, I don't really. That was an odd scene, but again, did that happen? It's one of those where
They
I don't
confirm it.
know.
They confirm it later on.
Oh,
It
it did.
happens. Yes, because there's a
Well, yeah,
line.
I guess so. I guess she does claim.
Yeah.
But
Because
yeah,
like obviously,
I don't.
if it hadn't happened, if he had gone to her, because again, a massive spoiler here, but we're already talking spoilers anyway. He basically says to her, "We're having a child," and she's like, "I was lying." So that is confirming
Yeah.
it happened. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the bit I was just
Yeah.
like, "What?"
Yeah, she seems to get a lot more leniency, but it's never really explained who her parents are.
No, it's
What I
just
can
she was
gather, I
rich.
remember. Yeah, so I mean, it could be again, it was never really explained. So it could be a case of her parents actually high up within Arkham, and she can just kind of come and go to be because he was in the hole, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was in solitary confinement when she kind of
Yeah.
meets him and sees him. So yeah, it was a bit odd, but she just seemed to sort of like have leniency
Yeah.
throughout the jail. I don't really. Even when the court case was going on, she was allowed to sort of in the cells and stuff. Like she was very
It was
much
really weird.
allowed to run riot around Arkham. But yeah, I don't really understand that. It was a bit of an odd
Yeah.
bit.
I want to talk about what I probably think is the best scene of the whole film. This bit actually got me a little bit emotional, I'll be honest. When Gary comes back, the small guy from the first one, that scene is absolutely phenomenal. Like, his performance in that scene is unbelievable. I will say, I think Joaquin Phoenix went a bit too far on that bit. You know, where he does the whole, like, Mr. Puddles, eh? He does that, like, accent for the whole thing. And I was like, right, I get it, because you're being the Joker. I understand. But it almost undercut what Gary was doing, and I was a little bit sad by it, because I loved his like, lines in this bit are so good. And how he's like, Arthur was so lovely to me, but I'm terrified of the Joker. And I thought that was such a good storyline. And it just kind of, that was the best part of the film for me, hands down. And I kind of got a little bit choked up watching it because his performance is so good. But I kind of wish Joaquin Phoenix didn't do so much of that, like, over the top cartoon bit. I was like,
I think that's what was so. I guess it's kind of what Joker's so terrifying about Joker, though, isn't it? It's kind of his like MO, really, isn't it? That he's stupid and being silly, whilst also he's going to kill you. He's going to laugh about it and mock you for it in a way. And obviously, that's pretty much the only scene we have where he's defending himself in court, isn't it?
Yeah, and then you get that. Is it before that you get the musical number he does? The Joker bit where he's like killing my god, that's the best musical number of the
fantastic.
film. So good.
Yeah, no, that is fantastic. So you kind of get his like full. It's almost them going like, here he is. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's almost like, you're waiting the entire film to get him when they go, right, we're going to give you everything, because again, he only really gets that one bit of the Joker. So I guess he probably just went for it, and I think that's what was so terrifying for the guy is the fact that for Gary, because if it was Arthur, he probably would have been able to speak to him. I think because he was being so silly and so like messing around, and he was still terrifying. I think that kind of, in a way, it might not have been for you, but it kind of makes the scene a bit better, because it's like, he's very clearly terrified. Yeah, he's very clearly terrified of the Joker and not Arthur. And again, that's kind of what this film is doing, really, isn't it? It's very much trying to split the two.
Yeah. And then we get this one scene that I thought was completely unnecessary and really uncomfortable is when Joker's talking on the trial, and he's talking about how the guards treat him, and I think he says like the fat guards treat me badly or something like that. And then the scene that follows for me, I didn't get it. I don't know why it was included. I understand things like this happen. I get that bit, but I just don't know why we needed it in a Joker film. So obviously he goes back to Arkham. The guards take him through. They wash his face off, and they are obviously pissed off because he's spoken badly about him on TV. Understandable.
Yeah.
But then they continue to undress him, and then obviously you know what happens next. You don't see it, but you know exactly what happens next. I hated this.
Okay.
I hated it. It was just uncomfortable and bizarre.
I think for me, before the kind of like they undercut it so hard at the end, this was almost his way of being point, isn't it? Right. But he was right. Like, he was right all along. Him going, these guards beat the shit out of me. They do these things to me. Turn up the next day in court case, black and blue, battered, being like, I fucking told you. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's almost... And he was laughing the entire time, wasn't he? So it's almost his sort of... Yeah, it was uncomfortable. Yeah, it was a bit of an odd scene to have. They could have just beaten him. Yeah. But then I guess that's kind of what they were going for, really, is like, you know, as you said, you've got that sort of weird interaction with the guards throughout Avenue where you're not really sure they're kind of friendly, but they've always got that like thing to them. And then obviously like moments after, we have that other scene with his sort of friend within the cell.
Yes.
So yeah, there's... maybe it went too far again. They never see anything, and maybe it kind of didn't go
I think this
too far.
Was a personal issue of mine. I think it just was so jarring the way they did it, and I was not expecting it. And then it was the follow-on scene where he's in the cell and he's like shaking. It just really fucked with me. I didn't like it at all.
Yeah. I think it was done intentionally in a way of the Joker being able to be like, you know, everything that I told you is fucking true, like, and these people are treating me like this. So again, if you walk into the court case the next day beaten, bloody, which he never really went with, so it does kind of make it even more out of place in a way, really. But yeah, I think that was kind of the intention behind him. He was fully aware of what he was doing when he was calling the guards out, like called them fat or whatever he did.
Yes. And then let's just quickly talk about the ending then, because this is the hot topic of the film, let's be honest. So you get the court case kind of come to an explosive end where the bomb goes off. This kind of came out of nowhere for me, really. This bomb goes off, and I thought it was a vision in his head. I was like, oh shit, what's going on? Yeah. He gets up, because he kind of blows across the room, but he's all right. He gets up, walks outside. There's another Joker, which I thought was the shadow version of him from the cartoon. I thought they were going to make two characters. Okay. And I literally was like, oh my fucking God, I hate this. But then as it carried on, I was like, I actually like this bit. This bit's quite good. So it's like a bunch of crazy Joker fans. They take him along. He's like, I don't want this. Gets out of the car and basically gets arrested again, doesn't he? And take him back.
Yeah.
And then you get, which I think is the most conflicting scene of the entire film. You get, what's his name? Sorry, Arthur gets called because he's got a guest. Someone wants to talk to him. I assumed it was Lee, but you never know.
Yeah, so we did have like a little bit previous season where he actually sees Lee again, and that's the bit where, as you mentioned previously, where she says, I lied.
Yeah.
Like, you're not the man that you think you are. You know, you're not the Joker. That's basically her saying, like, I love the Joker. I don't give a shit about you.
Yes.
And then he stops and allows himself to get rearrested.
Yeah. So then,
And then, he gets a visitor who we assume is Lee, but we never know.
Yeah, you never get told. And then you get this other inmate, and he's like, oh, I've got a joke, can I like run it by you? And Arthur's like, I've got a guest, can it be quick? And he's like, yeah, I can make it quick, no problem. And I was like, okay. And then he goes and tells the joke. It's something along the lines of, a psychopath walks into a bar, he sees a clown like a washed up clown sitting there, and he kind of speaks to him, and then he says, you get what you fucking deserve, and he fucking shanks Arthur to death. So it ends with Arthur dying, because this is where it got a little bit muddy for me. I'd heard everyone saying they hated the ending, and I saw this, and I was like, okay, I kind of get it, but I don't know why you're hating on this so much. And it's what you see in the background that really got me. So you see the psycho, he shanked fucking Arthur to death, Arthur's bleeding all over the floor, and we're zooming in on Arthur's face, and in the background, it's very blurry, kind of like my background here. and you see the psycho ripping a smile into his face with the knife. Now, there's many interpretations on this. A lot of people seem to think, even though it doesn't timeline add up, that this is Heath Ledger's Joker, right? I don't agree with that at all. Not at all. But it undercuts, for me, the first and second film where this is not the Joker. This is an inspiration for the next Joker. And that kind of... It doesn't piss me off as much as people are going nuts over and going, oh my god, it's the worst ending ever. I don't think it is. But I think it does completely just kind of ruin the first film to a degree, where this is just an inspiration for someone else. And it kind of feels like that journey we've gone on means nothing. And that's the biggest issue I've got with it. I don't know if they were doing this to set up a new Joker, even though this is 1970s. I don't know what their inspiration was here. I don't know.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah.
I can see it. The guard is singing this. There is nobody there. The guard is whistling the saints when the saints go marching in. He's whistling that as he walks away, and that's kind of the song for the jailers, for the whole like thing with the Joker. That's like their song.
Yeah.
So he's whistling that as he goes. It was a setup. So he was that was always going to happen. Like as I said, the guard's whistling away, walking down with his keys. Like if someone's not following, if someone's not following, you turn around and go back from there. I mean, he left him there. Like he set him up for this to happen. I guess this is kind of what this is, really, isn't it? It is just, and again, this is probably another one of the filmmaker going "fuck you."
100%.
Probably is.
100%.
Where they're just going to go and like, oh, you think this is the Joker? Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Like, this is, the Joker can be whoever the fuck you want it to be. The Joker can be some guy who's dressed up like that, who's psychotic and killing people and going, I am the Joker. That's what it is. Like, I think it's very much intended similar to Lee or Harley Quinn. I think, you can go with whoever that is. Like, it doesn't need to be Lee. You can be anybody where it's just a human being within, like, with that sort of makeup claiming to be. And I think it's very much intended where they call him Arthur a lot and they call her Lee a lot. And I think for him to go full Joker, then kind of come back on himself and then be like, no, I am just Arthur. I'm just a man. I don't want any of this. But for them to then kill him, and then, as you said, for them to do this sort of smile, which it's probably more of a nod than anything. It's definitely not Heath Ledger.
No, the timeline doesn't.
It's probably just a nod to him. Yeah, because you can. It was always coming. Like they lingered on this man too much.
Yeah.
Doing like there was two people. Well, there's like three really, but there was two people within the sort of whatever it is, like the cell block, that were looked at a lot as including Arthur.
Yeah.
One was like his mate, and there was another guy that he never speaks, nothing ever really happens, they never interact or anything. He's just there. And there's a lot of close-ups of him being like, of him loving the fact that Joker would come up, and then as soon as Joker came back and Arthur came out again, he was furious, along with a lot of other people were furious. I think it's just more of a thing of them going, as I said, firstly it's a fuck you.
And love this guy so much, you're off, like
Yeah, and then I think secondly, it is just a thing of being like the Joker is not real. It's an idea. Like the Joker can be whoever they want it to be. I think that it kind of explains all the different versions of the Joker, because it's like there isn't a standard like this man was the Joker. Because I don't even know if, like, to go into comic book wise, if there ever was like, this was the man that is the Joker, because I know there's like a bit where he was the one who killed Bruce's parents. There's another bit where he's not, like, there's a lot of different versions of this character, so I don't even know if it might be a bit almost like a comic book version of it, where it's like, we never really know who the Joker is. He's more of a character rather than an actual person. But yeah, I think overall it's a fuck you.
100%,
basically.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of where I'm not as... Like, people on the internet literally saying this is the worst film ever made because of the ending. Like, I think that's way dramatic. But I do think it kind of sours both films in the end, because you follow this character you think is that character, and it turns out it never was, and they were someone else anyway. So it kind of undercuts it. Yeah. But I'm not like a diehard fan of these films anyway, but like it just felt a bit like they had no idea how to make this film, and they had no idea to end it, so they were like, fuck you, let's do that. I mean, it's an odd...
Yeah, I think it was very much the intention going into this film. Yeah. I think I think for them, as you said, for him to go, he probably just wanted to make a thing and happened to call it Joker and just went, look, this is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. It did really well. I'm walking away. And then they went, we're bringing you back. So now he's gone. He's fucking dead.
Yeah.
Now what?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
100%.
Like it is, and in a way, I like it. I do like it because I think too many franchises or too many films, sorry, you can become franchises where it's just like, oh, they're not dead. Ooh, another thing could happen. There's always like an excuse for them to be like, he could come back. And I think if they just stabbed him and he'd like hit the floor and then it cut to black, you'd be like, oh, there's a chance.
Yeah.
But I mean, like they linger on it.
You see him
They're
die.
like,
Yeah.
he is dead.
Yeah.
Like he's dead. There's no coming back from this. There's no like, oh, but then we saved him. No,
Yeah.
he's dead.
Yeah.
So in a way, I kind of like it because it's a definitive end. This is a 1 and a 2, and that is it. And it's always going to exist in this like weird world. Nothing will ever come of it. No one's ever going to make a thing. You know, we've got way too much going on with the whole DC universe coming back. You've got the Batman. There's so many different versions of these things going on. That this will always be Joker 1, Joker 2, and this will just always exist in this whole weird little world. But yeah, I kind of like it for that reason. But I also can understand why people are so pissed about it because I think people kind of wanted this to be the next Joker. Like people going, oh, and then he's going to interact with Batman all this, and he's gone. No, he's not.
Yeah.
He's just a man.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can see both sides.
Very fair. So to wrap it up, what are your final thoughts and what are you scoring Joker?
As I said, I enjoyed it. I can understand the hatred towards it, and again, I think if I'd watched this on my own, just like in my room, for example, I might not love this film as much. I might gone, oh, that was all right, whatever. But yeah, I think purely down to the fact that I could feel everyone's like hatred towards this film made me love it that little bit more. Whereas, you know, I could kind of I almost like got on board with the fuck you sort of feeling towards this film. As I said, I think for people, you need to know it's a musical. You need to be aware that it's nothing like the first film. Going into it, I think you probably should like do not research as such, but like just listen and hear what it's about before going into it and go into it a bit more open. Yeah, listen to this video, but go in a bit more open-minded. It's something you need to experience. That's where it's one of those films, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where, you know, regardless of where you sit on it, I think you've got to go see it and have your own opinion. I think if you go in, I'm going to hate this, you'll hate it.
Absolutely.
If you're going to love it, you'll probably be a bit like, it was all right. I think just go in and go, I have no opinion, no, like, I don't care which side I go. I'm just going to go in, see what I think about it, and come away and go, okay, that is what I think. Yeah. So I'm going to give it, I'll go, what do you go to 5 on these?
Yeah, we'll go 5.
I'll go a 4.
Wow, okay,
That's
yeah.
going.
Interesting.
I'll go 4 out of 5.
I'm glad you enjoyed it though, because obviously everyone jumping on this hating bandwagon is crazy, I think. So I'm glad to hear you genuinely.
And also, sorry, it's almost the complete opposite to the first. Where everyone in the first one goes, this is incredible, I think it's very average. And this, when everyone going, I hate this, I think it's a lot better than people make it.
Yeah, and with that last sentiment you just made, I completely agree. I think the first one's bang average, and I think this one is not definitely nowhere near as bad as everyone's saying. It's decent. Do you know what I mean? So for me, I'm a lot less thing on it because I'm still so torn. I'm like literally bang in the middle. So for me, I'm going in the middle. I'm going 2.5 out of 5. But that's not me saying this is a bad film. This is me saying it's a very divisive film. I think it's going to prove to be. And I think it actually requires multiple watches, really. I'm not saying it's like high art and you need to like really watch it to understand its themes. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is to make your kind of definitive verdict, I think you have to see it more than once, because that first time is almost like a shock to the system, isn't it? It's like such a different film compared to the first that I think a rewatch will kind of cement where I feel with it. But I did not hate my time with it. I thought it was quite slow moving, and I think there's a lot of improvement that could have been done. But as a sequel that didn't need to be made, it's not the worst thing in the world. It really isn't. People are being so dramatic.
Yeah, it's going to be polarizing, and it's fascinating. Yeah. I think more than anything, it's just fascinating.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah.
Cool.
I mean, this has been the most pretentious we've ever been.
Yeah, I totally agree. Totally 100% agree.
Discussing a film,
bros.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is kind of what, in a way, I guess is good, because it almost, instead of people just going, "Oh, it's fucking stupid," you almost have to have somewhat, we're not intelligent people, but somewhat intelligent conversations about this. Like, do you know what I mean? I think it is something that if you're really going to discuss it, you're going to sound really wanky, but you kind of need to. Like, it's one of those films you need to almost dissect it and get into the weeds of it. Like, so yeah, this is very pretentious. So if you like your arty farty pretentious films, you will love this.
Yeah.
So yeah, so sorry, would you recommend this, Dan? As I said, I sort of would, with a caveat, but what about you?
I really don't know. Part of me wants to say no, just because I know it's one of those films at the minute where people are seeing anything online and are going, I'm not watching that. And that's, unfortunately, that's where we are in the world now. It's, you see something online and you go, yeah, I hate it. You haven't even fucking seen it, do you know what I mean? And I think if maybe you have a slight interest in seeing what it's about and you haven't just fallen victim to everyone hating it, then in that tiny little regard, I can recommend it, because it's one of those films where you do need to see it for yourself and make your own opinion. Get all that hate off the internet out of your brain and go into it with an open mind, which is what I did. And you know what I'm like? I read a review and I'm like, oh, fuck this. But with this, I really went in with an open mind. And about 45 minutes in, I was like, this is good. I'm enjoying it. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I can recommend it if you're really staying away from everyone else. But if you've already made up your mind that you hate this without seeing it, don't fucking bother. Yeah. It's one of those.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah, I completely agree. It is with that big caveat. And I think if you love films, like, actually, you know, if you're a film buff, then I would say to watch it. If you're a casual viewer of films, I wouldn't bother. Yeah. It's one of those, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I totally agree. Cool. So that was our little take on Joker Folie Deux number 2. Yeah, just tell people where they can find us, bud.
You can find us. We're at The Feature Fellas. We're on Instagram. We're on X. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube, where you are now. We're on the TikTok. We are sometimes on Spotify. If you'd like to follow us there, this will not be on Spotify.
No, I am going to put this one on Spotify, actually.
Oh, this is on Spotify. I like so yeah, like you use into this one.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so you can find us all there. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. What should we say in the comments, Dan? I will leave this to you.
Well, just literally let us know if you've actually watched it and you didn't just fall victim to the online hate. How did you actually feel about this? Because I'm seeing so much hate for it, but there's the odd little person online that's being like, actually, it's good. I like this film. And I kind of love...
that's the little people.
No, that's not what I meant. But, you know, there's like the odd majority of people going, this is good. And I like to see it. I like to see the defense and why you liked it. So just tell us if you've seen it. How did you feel about it? And then you can find us next time. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye, Jonklers.
Why so serious?